It seems like it's been 40 weeks since you got 40 winks. Your back pain? Unbearable. Tossing, turning, trying to find that pain-free position. And that's the moment you realize you can't spend another waking moment putting off treatment.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for spine care, with a ton of surgical and non-surgical treatments for back pain. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 747, Toria Cannon's journey from new mom to new runner.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hello, friends. Before I get into this fantastic conversation with my friend Toria, I want to tell you about my friend Sarah and Team Fit With Me. If you are looking for a fantastic health coach that will help you with accountability, help you learn macros, nutrition, exercise, get some labs done so you can kind of understand what's going on internally in your body. If you have any issues like gut health or thyroid diseases, PCOS, hormonal dysfunction, guess what? She's got solutions, which is amazing. Plus, she's got meal plan add-on options reviewed by a registered dietitian, a food relationship coach partner, community support. Team Fit With Me has got your back if you need a fantastic health coach. Check it out. Go to teamfitwithme.com/poundthis and you'll save 10% off month one of all packages, plans, and add-on services. But right now, let's chat with Toria. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine, returning guest, although it's been several years since you've been on, discussing drinking a lot of water and peeing a lot. It is Toria Cannon. How are you?
I'm good. I think I was on like one time and I was like, yeah, I'm going to drink a gallon of water for a whole 30 days. And then like 3 days into it, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Once you realize how much you're peeing.
Never on the podcast again.
Until now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny that, one, that we were coworkers at the radio station, which I want to get into in here in a sec, but currently we are working together where you're training with me at the gym at Cincy 360 Fitness. We just started that, and you're doing your first 10K with the Flying Pig, running with the Fleet Feet running group here in Cincinnati. And it's funny too, I do want to preface that you are on the phone where we were going to record in person, being like that you were at the gym and I have a podcast studio at the gym, but miscommunication, we missed each other. And I'm like, okay, but I want to get this podcast up this week. So like, what do we got to do? So we're on the phone.
Let me just tell you, I felt bad about that. We had scheduled Tuesday and then switched it to Monday, and I still had it. This is literally being a new mom. Like, it's just, if I don't do something immediately, like if I did not switch that in my phone immediately, my mom brain is just like mush. But then I had a nightmare this morning that it was like 9:03 because we were recording at 9 o'clock. And I was like, where's my computer? I'm at my parents' house for some reason. And my dad's like, oh, it's out in the yard where we always keep it. I'm like, why do you keep your computer in the yard? I was like trying to call you at like 9:15. And then I woke up and I realized it was only 7:30. I was like, oh, I got time.
Yeah, you're fine. And that's what's one of these things too, is like, we know each other. So like I totally get it. I wasn't like, oh my God, Toria ruined my week.
I know. I felt so bad though, because I like pride myself on like getting to things and being timely. And yeah, that was a big letdown on my end.
So just for some backstory, for people that are listening in Cincinnati, I was at the radio station for 5 years. I left 2 years ago, and you were at the radio station for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And you just left
10 years. How
long ago?
Probably about 2.5 months ago, beginning of November. So yeah, I guess that'd be, about 2.5 months.
And so for backstory for people listening that don't listen to the radio, especially in Cincinnati. So you met your husband at the radio station and now you have a baby together.
Yes. Just had a baby 8 months ago. So I guess that's not just had, but we're still learning the ropes. So I guess that is just had. That first baby like gives you a run for your money.
Yeah. How's that all going?
It's going really good. There's days where that she's a handful where I don't know why she's fussing. She is teething. She just got her first tooth, so that's pretty big. It's been nice being home with her, though. I catch all our milestones, like her sitting up by herself. Now she's crawling and getting into everything. But we got lucky because she literally has slept through the night since 2.5, 3 months old. It was like once we moved her to her crib, because she's super long, so she was getting stuck in her bassinet, like trying to wiggle around. She was like, I love this room. Keep me here forever. She'll sleep like 12 hours at night.
Nice.
It's crazy.
And we were just discussing your latest milestone before recording, that you just had your first period.
I did. So post well, I was like on and just trying different birth controls post her. And so I got my official one yesterday, like truly post L, and it was a doozy. And I was telling you that my neighbor made me so fearful of toxic shock syndrome, like overnight when you're sleeping with tampons. So one day she asked me for a pad and I didn't have one. So I gave her one of my always diapers that I had postpartum. And I was like, hey, that's not a bad idea. So last night I threw one on and I was sleeping in a diaper while my daughter was sleeping in a diaper.
How did that feel? Because you know what? I've like legit thought about like wearing an adult diaper to like a concert or something, so I don't have to worry about going to the bathroom.
Honestly, it was comfortable. I slept great.
Nice.
They do make, my sister was like, because I want to try the Diva cup or whatever the cup thing is, the Flex cup. I don't even know what they're called. But my sister was telling me they now make period panties. I guess you can buy them at Target. So she's got a light flow. So it's like good for people that are not like super heavy. So she was going to try those out. Maybe we'll have her give us the update on how those work.
Yeah, I am curious about those, like how that all works. I don't understand the technology, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess you would just wash and rewear. I don't really know how it works. I've never seen them, but Ariana was telling me about them. So we'll have to have her give us an update about her period.
I like that's exactly where this podcast went. Let's talk about your training to run. No, let's talk about my period.
Well, and it's funny too, because you and I, like, you are going to help me with my like calorie intake and stuff like that. But I was like wondering why, like the night before I started, I was like, why do I want to eat 40 pounds of chocolate? And now it totally makes sense.
Oh, for sure. So tell me like where you're at. Well, I guess just a backstory of, you know, your health and fitness. I know the whole time I've known you, you've always like gone to the gym and worked out. Like you went to Orange Theory a lot. Like you have like a history of being active.
Yeah, I would say that I got more active once I joined Orange Theory, because like now that I have you, it's really nice too, because I'm the type of person where I'm not just going to go to a gym by myself. I need someone that is going to keep me like structured, tell me what to do, motivate me, because I don't know what to do in the gym. That's why like going with you makes it perfect, because you have a plan for me and I can follow that plan.
How do you feel?
I've always been pretty active, but you've also been there for me through this, like the stupid fad diets.
Yeah.
And I know that you hardcore were judging me like, that's not smart. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And yeah, you were definitely right.
Well, I wasn't judging you, but it was just one of those things. What was the one where you were drinking like the diet shakes?
That one's, I guess, can I talk about the brand on here? Because I feel kind of bad if people are like promoting it or using it. But it was called Optavia. So my sister was trying it and she was like, will you do it with me? And I was like, sure. So yeah, like it's great. You lost weight fast because it's like a 1,200 caloric intake, but it was not like sustainable. And I gained all my weight back. And well, then obviously I had a baby, which didn't help, but it was not a healthy way. Like you should not just be cutting your calories down to like basically nothing.
Yeah, and those things, I mean, I wouldn't recommend them. I don't like harshly judge people for doing them at all. I just know that it's a bummer that you go through that process and then you kind of starve yourself and choke down these shakes just to, most times, like 90+% of the time, you're going to gain it back because it's just not sustainable unless you're just like, I just need this as a quick 2-week quick, jump start or whatever you need to do. Again, each individual is different, but it's just kind of knowing what you're getting into before you get into it and thinking it's the end all be all solution. Right. And I'm all about trying anything and see what sticks. So I'm not judging too harshly. I have
found that me just like watching what I eat, eating healthier and stuff and exercising is going to help me like lose it healthily and keep it off. So I'm like realizing that like, oh, these people that teach that, they're actually right.
Yeah, imagine that.
Right, exactly. They went to school and they studied like dietitian and healthy foods and exercise, and all that makes sense.
Well, how do you feel about the running so far? So you joined the Fleet Feet running club, which you could still do up through February here in Cincinnati. So you joined that. That started like January, like 3rd or something, like right at the beginning of January, right?
Let me just tell you. So I'm like, that was my New Year's my New Year's goal was to join Fleet Feet, start working out with you. And I'm like, this is so fun. This is happening the first week of January. I cannot wait. Boom, I get COVID. So I had to like sit out that whole first week, and I was like stressing myself out because I'm like, great, I'm gonna fall behind on the mileage that we're running. So like it started off with like a 1.5 miles, and then it was, and every week it kind of gradually increases. So I had my first meetup the second week of January, and I was like nervous. So when I get nervous, my hands get clammy and my butt sweats. So I'm showing up to this thing
With
and
a
I'm
sweaty
like already
crack.
hot, and it's like 27 degrees outside. And it was not bad at all. It was actually so much fun. I remember like trying to call you that night, but you didn't answer probably because you screened my call.
That's exactly what it was. I'm
But
like,
it
this
was so
bitch.
much fun. Yeah, I don't want to talk to her. I honestly, we meet every Tuesday and every Saturday, and I've learned a lot just being there two weeks, and it's been so much fun, and it's not overwhelming at all. They have where you can train for the 5K, the 10K, the full, or the half. I'm in the 5K, 10K training program, and I can run a mile. When I'm at Orange Theory, if I'm running really hard, I can do like 9:30, but that was pre-baby when I was in probably like the best shape ever. So I asked the girl, I was like, I just need to take it easy and not overwhelm myself so I don't hurt myself and I stick it out. And she's like, cool. She's like, train with us. It's a 13 to 14 minute mile. We do interval training every week. We adjust it. And it's been amazing and so much fun.
Yay. And you've never run an official race before, right?
Never in my life have I ran more than 1 mile.
Dude, and then you're just like, I'm going to do 6.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm impressed with myself. I think this past Tuesday we ran 2 miles, and then the Saturday before that we ran 2.5. So like this upcoming week we'll do 3 miles, and I know it's interval. So like right now we're doing 3 minutes on, 1 minute off. But I don't know. For me, it works because I'm not used to running all that mileage consecutively. So at least this way, I'm kind of training endurance-wise to get myself there, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's fun. And we all chat. The girl was like, when you're training with us, like in this group, if you're running so hard that you can't hold a conversation, then you're running a little too hard. So I'm like, oh, this is so nice. So I've like met everyone. I got to know what they did for a living and all that stuff. Good social aspect.
That's awesome. And then the Flying Pig is, oh God, I should know the dates of this because I'm an ambassador.
April 30th and May 1st. So
okay.
I guess
thank you.
On Friday. What?
I'm like, I should know that. Like I'm an ambassador and I don't know the official date. But use code Amanda22 to save 10%. Sorry, go ahead.
It's always like the first weekend of May, but the first weekend of May is actually like April 29th, 30th, and May 1st. So it is a little weird this year.
Yeah, well, and it was weird the past couple years.
So true.
Because last year it was on the same weekend as Queen Bee, which was in October. So they blended those two races. And then the year before it was virtual, obviously, in 2020. Yeah. So it's like finally back onto a normal sort of, as normal as we all can be right now.
Right.
Track.
Exactly.
So
but
then
I'm really excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited that you want to do it, and I'm excited that, it's going super well. And I'm also just excited to have you in the gym and train with me of just kind of like get you some strength training. So the program that I have written for you is so I see you once a week on the, outside of your runs. So then I'm cross-training you for running, because a lot of times myself, very guilty of this when I was running, I was only running. So I was only doing like a butt ton of cardio, and I was getting injured a lot because I wasn't working any of the rest of my body other than just running. So like the things that we were doing yesterday is like working more the backside of the body, get your glutes going, your hamstrings, kind of get your core strength going, especially being postpartum, of really working on your core stability and those sorts of things, which not only going to help you in just everyday life, but are going to help you train for the run and have you be a better runner and like less susceptible to injuries.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, just because I am so new to this that's like the last thing I wanted to do was go too hard too fast and hurt myself and then not be able to do anything. So I've had fun in the gym. So we've had like 2 sessions now and both of them have probably ended in dancing, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know who picks the music when I first walk into the gym, but she always puts on a banging playlist.
Yeah, we usually have some jams on.
Nelly, like drop down and get your eagle on, girl.
Oh yeah, yesterday it was just like when you were in, it's like, okay, let's take videos and selfies and like just have it. I mean, that's what's, kind of fun of it. It's just like we can turn it into whatever we want to. I don't think that I could have any sort of job that would be in any sort of button-up atmosphere. Definitely radio was not. And then not that we're not professionals at the gym. I'm definitely probably the weirdest one there. But
oh, for sure. Somebody reached out to me yesterday inquiring about like training with you. And I was just like, we're just getting back into things. And they wanted to start a gym, had like no idea where to start. And I was just like, but they follow your podcast. And I was like, Amanda is great because you're so like not intimidating. You know what you're talking about, but you're real about it. And you realize that you're going to have bad days and good days and you make it fun. I was like, and I think she said she was going to reach out to you via Instagram. Maybe, I'm not sure, but
yeah,
I was just telling her, I'm like, she's a good one to go to because she's not, she will follow the plan that you need to be on. And I don't know, it's been fun so far. And I've been like a good sore, it's been like, I can sit on the toilet, but when I get up, it's got that little sore.
I mean, does doing workouts just in general, I know you're doing things differently than what you had before with doing the training with me and running. Does it feel different like in your body post baby?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, maybe, I guess it does a little bit, but it's hard to tell with me because I was so active during my pregnancy that I think that helped me post baby to kind of maintain, if that makes any sense. Cause I was still doing ab workouts and leg workouts and arm workouts that, I mean, obviously I've just let myself go in general, but
I wouldn't be that harsh on yourself. You're fine.
Well, I mean, it's so bad because when you are, and this is what you're helping me with because I need help with it. But when you are breastfeeding, I was telling you this, I was starving and a lot of women are like, oh, you lose so much weight so fast breastfeeding. But I was the opposite where I was eating a lot, but I wasn't making smart choices. So I lost all the baby weight and then gained it all back, which was like 23 pounds just from like not eating healthily. And I mean, it took me like 6 months to gain all that. So I know it's not going to come off easily, but that's like my goal is to just kind of get back into good habits and stuff and make myself feel better. So you're kind of helping me just all around.
Well, yeah. And it's just one of those things too of like, yeah, if you do the healthy habits and do all of those things, the weight just magically comes off as a side effect of making good choices instead of kind of just being honed in on, what the size of your body is or what the number on the scale is. And like, yeah, I mean, I would imagine, I mean, I know your body has changed a lot. And then we're just trying to figure that out. And then again, like what you said before, like when you've done eating before and you've had like weight loss on the mind, you think that 1,200 calories, I got to rack them down. But 1,200 calories is how much, probably Elle eats more than that. So
I know that's what I was telling you. It's like, I think that Elle eats probably like 1,000 calories a day. I mean, she probably, I don't really know. I should probably look it up, but I'm pretty sure that that's like what a toddler's intake roundabout is. And I'm like, that's just not sustainable for me because I am relatively active, especially now that I'm running and then working out with you. So I'm like, in order to even have energy to play with my daughter and make it to workouts and make it to runs, 1,200 calories is like deathly small.
Yeah,
Like
right. And I mean, just
not
even
smart.
lifting, babies and moving around, like that's work.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I got a massage the other day and he's like, where do you want me to like focus? And I was like, really my back, because I'm now holding L and your body's not used to that. And even when I went to one of my first like postpartum, it wasn't like a postpartum checkout, it was just my like yearly checkup for my doctor. I said to her, like, my back's been sore. And she was like, I got to tell you, she's like, we'll keep an eye on it. She's like, but you go from like holding the baby all out front when you're pregnant, which already kind of throws your back for a little like trick because you're not used to that weight being there. Then you have the baby and it's like your body is going, it has to like balance out again. It's like kind of, which totally makes sense. Like women go through so much when they're pregnant. It's just little things you don't think about.
Well, and that's where it's like, every woman should work on pelvic floor work. I mean, especially post baby. And I mean, we've already talked about your like sweaty butt crack and your period. So I don't feel like I'm out of line asking, like, have you noticed, like, if you like jump, cough, like peeing a little or any of that?
Well, let me just say that I had to have a C-section. So my vagina is just the way God had it planned. Still.
Good to know.
But that's not to say that I don't have, like, I obviously have a scar from having a C-section, and I think it's like 7 layers that they have to cut through to get the baby out. So I definitely have had some wear and tear in like my abdominal area. And I know that it takes like 6 full months for that to heal.
Well, then only that your pelvic floor is affected by carrying a baby. I mean, I have I have pelvic floor issues just from the way that I stand and how my pelvis sits. So it's
that's so true.
And that's one of those things that's like hard to work on. Because even like, as I have learned from doing this podcast, from a couple doctors from Christ Hospital, of like, you can actually do Kegels wrong, or not even doing Kegels in a way that aren't beneficial to you. Like there's
right.
like a lot to think about. And like, that's something, I mean, it just sucks that it's a topic that's so taboo, when it's like, well, that's just general women's health. And that's something we should all know and how to do. Like, why is that like Kegels? Like, that's shameful to talk about. Of like, no, we should be doing these things to like, because working on our pelvic floor and our core is going to branch out to like every part of our body.
Right. Exactly. So far, though, knock on wood, with running, I've not noticed any like leakage. So that's good.
That's good. Well, and I just know that so many people, I mean, baby or not, have that issue of just kind of like, if I jump or if I cough or I sneeze, and then again, that's not a thing that feels good to just openly chat about. Of like, I just made the joke the other day, like somebody scared me at the gym, like went to knock a ball out of my hand, and I screamed and I joked, I'm like, I peed a little, and they're like, did you really? And I'm like, no, I didn't, but I'm like, I very well could have.
Right, exactly.
Which I said to, I was just fun radio story, since when we worked in radio together, whenever we won the CMA award, Keith Urban called to like tell us that we won, and I'm like, Keith, I just peed, and like they used that in the promo for a little bit, and then I guess apparently like got in trouble, and they're like, that's too much, you're gonna have to edit that out of there.
No, that's reality.
Yeah, right.
Hilarious.
I'm sorry that I talked about a bodily function on the air that every human does.
Which is so funny, because typically with radio, it's like there's nothing off limits. To me, that would be like more newsy that they would want to cut that out. So that's kind of shocking.
I mean, there's definitely stuff that's off limits. Trust me.
For sure. You definitely push it a little bit more than I probably had. I was a traffic reporter, so there's not much I could say in a traffic report that would be off limits.
Yeah, there's not really anything I did too much in Cincinnati, but like I go back and listen to other stations I was on, especially when I was on pop stations versus country stations.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I mean, it was a different era too, where I'm like, oh my God, like we all would have been canceled so hard for some of the crazy jokes that we were making and stupid stuff we were doing, and like really pushing the limits on some of the jokes that we were making.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it was so much fun, but it's like, yeah, I can't believe I said that.
Yeah, it's definitely not like that anymore.
No.
Definitely not.
No, it is not as much fun as it used to be, in my opinion.
I have to agree with that. I mean, I wasn't there through all that you experienced, but I was there 10 years, so I kind of saw some sides of things and then how it changed. And definitely post COVID pandemic shutdown had changed a lot too.
Yeah, and I haven't personally worked in radio the past 2 years, but I mean, even when COVID hit, like I was like, I am very happy that I'm not on the air right now trying to think of an entertaining way to discuss one at the time, the election and this pandemic. I'm like, hard pass. I left at the right time. This sounds awful.
In those moments, I was glad that my full-time job was traffic. I did have a show that was 1 hour daily, but it was like we never laid up in anything, thankfully. But yeah, for the other people, I was like, whoo, they have to navigate this day in, day out.
Well, and you had a podcast with your sister for a while too.
Yeah, I can't have that anymore. Well, for now, but yeah, we did. And I honestly enjoyed that podcast too. So I'll probably, I mean, once I'm allowed to, I'll probably revamp it, probably give it a different name and like and stuff, because it'll be under like my own, kind of like you, like now you're your own brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like there's no big company behind you. So I will probably do something with that eventually. It's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's one of those things where, yeah, when you're just so used to, especially like we both like kind of just grew up sitting behind a microphone, where it's just like, it's just one of those natural things where I'm like, I can't imagine not having it at all.
Yeah, and that's why I was glad you asked me to do this too, because, well, right now I'm over a telephone, but usually we are in person behind microphones. But yeah, because I have missed being behind a microphone, so it's like a little taste.
Yes. Well, and that's where I'm like, even next time you come on and we discuss like where, you know, you're running and your training and all that stuff goes to, like, I mean, if there's anything else you want to discuss, if you want to bring some show prep to the table.
Heck yeah, we can just make this a thing.
Yeah, I'm happy to discuss celebrity gossip. Like, did you see what Britney said to Jamie Lynn?
Oh yeah, or Megan Fox's weird engagement ring that like hurts her when she takes it off. I think it's endless.
See, the Megan Fox Machine Gun Kelly thing does not interest me even a little bit. Like, I just don't care. That seems staged. I don't care about either of those people. The Britney Spears thing, I am a little bit more invested in.
Yeah, Britney Spears, I feel so bad for her. But the Megan Fox thing, like, she was honestly, I knew of Megan Fox like post Machine Gun Kelly, but I think he really made her career, because it was like, who was she before Machine Gun Kelly? Now it's like they're all over the place. And me and John, my husband, say this, like, okay, like they're cool right now, but I feel like that's going to end really bad.
Yeah, and it's just, I feel like or like all the Pete Davidson thing too. Like it feels like that's going to be super hot, and then you're not going to hear about that anymore. It just seems like the cycle of everything is. You all right?
Yeah, sorry. I took a drink of tea and it went down the wrong pipe.
It just feels like everything is just like shorter and shorter time span for everything. It's like the moment that you just like know what's going on, it's already over.
Honestly, I would love, I just feel like it's so attention seeking. I feel like I need to do the same thing in my life. Like I should just leave John for Zac Efron, stir things up a little bit, get some good sex out of that, and then go back to John.
What a plan. Zac Efron, huh? That's the go-to?
Yeah, he's my zaddy. Have you seen those TikToks where it's like he ages with us? So he was like my crush when I was a teenager, and now I'm 30 and he's my crush again.
No. See, like I'm too old for all of those. So it's like, you know,
Zac Efron, you're too old for Zac Efron.
I mean, I didn't I didn't have a teenage crush on him. I was like an adult.
That's true, I guess.
Like here's my age group, who like the hot guy was when I was in school was Jonathan Taylor Thomas. So
okay. He's good too. Like he's a looker too though.
See, I don't know what he looks like now, but it's like,
wait. I think I'm thinking, I'm thinking of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which is not the same.
No, it's not the same. I mean, at the time though, I don't really know if anybody, I mean, that was Third Rock from the Sun was a thing. Like when I was in high school, I don't know if anybody was drooling over him at the time. I guess more.
Wait, he's the one who played on Tool Time.
Yeah. JTT was. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was.
Home Improvement. Yeah. Was he the older brother?
He was the middle brother.
The middle
I
one
think.
that
The one
was
with the
like
bowl
begging
cut.
for more money, I guess, at that show, and then he got like then he quit.
Oh, I don't even remember that drama.
They like wrote him out of the show, like he like went to Spain for school or something.
Oh, geez. Dude, I've lost so many brain cells since then. I don't even remember.
Same though. I don't know how I remember that.
But
I
yeah.
could have just made that up. So if that is actually factually wrong, somebody can correct me.
Oh, I'm sure someone will. Yeah, I don't know the life story of him. Yeah, I'd say probably a lot of the people from, I don't know. Like when Jared Leto was a thing. I mean, because
he's still a looker.
Yeah, because My So-Called Life came out when I was in high school. So then he was that age because he was in that show where he's much different now. But yeah, so yeah, Zac Efron was still like, he was like a child whenever I was an adult. So it's like, so when I see TikToks like that, I'm like, I understand he's a good looking dude, but I'm like, that wasn't, I wasn't like, ooh, yeah, look at this 15-year-old when I was like 30.
Yeah, you're right. That would be pretty gross.
I'm glad
Somebody
to know.
would definitely judge you for that.
Does John know that you're gonna like leave him for him?
Yeah, John knows that my hall passes are Zac Efron and Charlie Hunnam, his Sons of Anarchy state though, like the grunge, the leather jacket. Like John knows that if they ever come to town and they ever approach me, that I'm not married.
Good to know. Does he have the same thing?
His used to be Scarlett Johansson. It used to be her, but it kind of flexes with her. It just depends. Sometimes he was like, I didn't really like her short hair stage, but he's always loved her body because she's kind of like a full figured woman. She's got the curves and stuff. So he was always into that. But I don't know. His changes too. But mine, actually, I don't think mine changed. My two stay strong. Charlie Hunnam and Zac Efron.
Good to know.
Yeah, I would laminate that list like Ross did on Friends. Yeah. Make it permanent.
I think you need some posters. He's just going to come home from work and you're going to have posters of Zac Efron in your bedroom, like above the bed.
Yeah. I'll make my bedroom like it was when I was in high school.
Yeah. And what's this? Shh, baby number 2.
Oh my God.
Well, is John, John was way into working out. Like me and him broed out for a little bit at the radio station because of how hard he would work out. Cause he went from being so super scrawny to being a bigger built dude, built on Chipotle. Is he still have his same workout routine?
No. And it kills him. He adjusting to obviously being a new dad. He's got a new job. Because he stepped away from the company that you and I used to work for. He stepped away from there in June or July of last year. I forget which one it was.
And he left in 2020.
Yes. Or 2020. You're right. Not 2021. Sorry. Then he launched a magazine locally where we live. So he was selling for that. He and our neighbor launched it. And then he got a job back in radio. So he's still doing the magazine. He's now doing radio. He has a full-time show. He still DJs weddings and corporate events on the side. He's always done that for fun. And then now we have our daughter. So he's literally he woke up at 6 a.m. this morning and started prepping for his show today because it is just him on his show right now. And then, by the time he gets home, it's 7 o'clock at night and he's just wiped from the day. So he's I haven't been able to have a scheduled workout routine in so long. So
well, you guys
killing him slowly.
You have to come in and do a couples workout with me sometime.
I know. I'm I'm because the beauty of it is that we have my parents, his parents that live here locally. We have an amazing babysitter. So I actually have 2 babysitters, both named Natalie, oddly enough. So I'm we can always find someone if he wanted to go whenever, there's always someone there that can watch Elle. So that is the beauty of it.
Yeah, that would be fun. I have a couple couples that I train. I mean, obviously you guys are in different on different levels in where your body's at, what you're training for.
Yeah.
But if you ever wanted to come into the gym, that'd be super fun.
Watching John do squats is my favorite thing ever because he is so dang tall. So dang tall.
Well, yeah, and then you're going to Elle is already probably going to be a little.
Oh yeah, she
sprout.
was off the charts in her height percentile. And the doctor said she's going to be long and lean her whole life. And I'm like, what's that like? Can't relate. Definitely didn't get that from me.
Yeah, I cannot relate to that at all. Although my husband, who is a tall, lean person, he had his lung collapse. And they said that happens to a lot of people that are tall, lean people.
Really? That's shocking.
Yeah, they said it happens a lot to like models and stuff. And so
wow.
He was always concerned it was going to happen to his other lung. And we actually had a former coworker that he had the same exact thing just from being like a tall dude, that both of his lungs had collapsed. And I'm like,
that's so wild.
The more you know, like I wouldn't have known that. I mean, we found that out. We were at a party where we were very drunk. Like, I woke up on a rock in front of a veterinarian's office the next day. There was
that sounds comfortable.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, but the night before was filled with a Jurassic Park bounce house and Irish car bombs. And so
those will get you.
Yeah. And so then we just thought, we're like, oh, obviously you're just busted up because we raged too hard. And no, it just turns out his lung collapsed.
Yeah. I mean, I would think the same thing. If you're waking up on top of a rock, you're like, what did I do that my lung collapsed? But no, it's just because he's tall.
I know, because he didn't even get in the Jurassic Park bounce house. That was all me.
It turns out, Mike, that you can go as hard as you want. Your body just still hates you.
But he's also the person that has always been able to just eat junk food constantly and not exercise at all or drink any water and be the same weight he was in high school.
He just has that naturally high metabolism.
It is very not fair.
But there are some people too that get very self-conscious about that too, because as much as they want to try to gain weight, they just can't.
Oh,
so
for
it's
sure.
Like, it's like both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, everybody has their own struggles and has their own body image issues. And, that's where it's like comparing and contrasting. And that's one of the reasons too, like I don't share like what my starting weight was or what my current weight is because I have noticed people will take a number and myself included and then compare your own body to that. And it's like, you can't. Like we're built differently. There's a lot of different things involved.
You know what's wild too is like thinking about my weight now, and because this is probably the heaviest I've ever been weight wise. I was give or take close to this when I was back in high school, and I was telling my girlfriend Lauren, because we're about the same size. I said, I'm this weight, but I don't think I look this weight. I felt like I looked that weight when I was in high school, but now that I'm like older, more mature, like you carry your weight so much differently. You learn how to like dress yourself better and stuff. So it's like, I could tell someone how much I weigh and they'd be like, that's not true. Just because it's like as you age, you start to carry it in different areas. And, like I said, you wear different clothes that are more flattering for like as your body type grows. And it is kind of wild to think about. That's why I don't want to like focus on the number too much, just because I know like, even if I realistically got to a number that I would love in my head, I know that I would look totally different now at that number than I did like 10 years ago at that number.
Well, and you might not even be able to be as strong at that number. You know what I mean? If you're like hungry and you're not in the right place and you are really strong. And I think you look fantastic. And it's like, you're strong. Like I mean, like you're coming in and, I'm having you do some heavy sled pushes and we're doing, some stuff that's not the easiest things to do. And you're coming in and crushing it. So I think that's the important part too. And probably one of the reasons why your body composition is different is because you have been lifting weights for years now, like in Orange Theory and moving things and staying active. And that's going to change your body composition. And a lot of times it will make the scale go up. You're growing muscle and you're just in different ways. So it's like, we can't be like that number tells me I'm not worthy or not good enough. It doesn't mean a damn thing as long as you're strong and healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I told you. I was like, I just need to kind of refocus on my healthy eating and working out because I've noticed that I'm sluggish. I'm more tired. I just don't have like the energy I used to have. And those things I definitely need to fix while Ella's young and getting into things. And I also want her I never want her, like growing up, my mom was always like dieting and I never want Elle to see that. Like I want Elle to see like we fuel our body with healthy food so that we feel good. Like there's never like a fad diet. There's never a diet. Like we work out because it keeps us healthy. Like we're not necessarily working out to constantly be losing weight or whatever. You know what? I just want her to have like a good, healthy relationship with foods and with working out.
Yeah.
So I
think that's
want her
awesome.
to see me in that routine so that she can, when she grows up, she kind of is like, has a, I don't know, just a good relationship with it.
Well, yeah, and I think that's absolutely amazing. And then even just too of like you training for this 10K of, just be like you weren't even a year old yet, and here I am with like a race medal. Like I'm just making accomplishments and I'm doing good things for myself. And you're not doing that to like lose weight or be a certain size. You're doing that to, push yourself and try to do
Yeah.
new things. And there's a lot to that. Rather
I'm
than
not a runner by any means. So that's exactly what this is. It's like me just challenging myself and getting out of my comfort zone.
And plus just the Flying Pig weekend, like doing those races. And that's why I think that everybody should try a race once, and whether you're running or walking. And I love walking them now. So I don't know why people get shamed in for walking races, but like they're just so much fun. The energy is amazing. So like the energy of everything, of all the signs and the encouragement, and then crossing the finish line. And it just like endorphins for days. It's like just such a fun experience.
My neighbors are all runners, so they're training for a full marathon in March in Napa, and I'm like their biggest cheerleader. I obviously am not running a full marathon, but I'm going and cheering them on. And we just went to New York where they ran a half, and they're like, "Can we run the Flying Pig with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys can like leave me in the dust because they run a lot faster than me." But my girlfriend Sarah, who's my neighbor, was saying, she's like, "I can like train with you on the days where you have solo runs." She's like, because honestly, she's like, it is so smart to run like 3 minutes, like slower than you typically would run your race for training because it helps your endurance. And she was just telling me all like the benefits of it. And she was talking about how, like running groups, she's like, I don't go to running groups to be like, let's beat our time. Like I go to running groups to socialize. She's like, it's actually really fun when you find like a good group of people. And she's like, it's not like about the number and stuff. She's like, we don't look at it that way. We just always have fun. And and like I always thought that running was that, like, oh, if you don't run as fast as me, like I'm not going to run with you. And Sarah and Allie and Amy, my neighbors, have definitely showed me that's not how it is. And when they run their halves, they don't always stay together. I was like, what do you guys do if somebody's running faster? And they're like, we just let them, like we just have this, it's just this like runners know like, hey, I'm going to just keep going. And it's like, okay, cool. No hard feelings. I understand.
Yeah. They meet at the finish line, and then you get your snacks and your drinks and you party.
Yeah. You get your free t-shirt.
Heck yeah.
Well, I guess you technically pay for the t-shirt, I guess, when you register.
Yeah. You get your free banana.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when they were running the half in New York City, myself and this other girl named Michelle, we didn't run it. So we both got sandwiches, and we're walking through Central Park to find the finish line. And we see a runner come out, and he was clearly done running. And I was like, hey, where's the finish line? He's like, oh, are you guys running? And I was like, we have sandwiches in our hands. Like, I'm in like hiking boots. I was like, no, we're just looking to like cheer our friends on. But I was just laughing so hard. Me and Michelle like looked at each other like we literally are eating breakfast sandwiches. Like,
well, dude, okay.
We're not running.
I have to tell you, and again, I don't know if they are hyped about me like talking about this so much, but every time I do like the Flying Pig or Queen Bee, because I walk the half now, and I'm like, I like to take my time. Like I will stop in East Walnut Hills and go into a coffee shop and buy coffee, like in the middle of the race, and I'll just walk with my coffee.
Why the heck not?
Like, so it's like the same thing of like, oh, if I saw somebody having sandwiches, I'm like, well, that makes sense to me. I'm totally going to grab a sandwich in the middle of this race and just keep on strolling.
Yeah, totally. That's hilarious.
Because I'm like, it's my race.
You.
I mean,
no judgment here.
I used to run all of them, and I really love running, and just my knees and everything is just not where I need it to be anymore. But then now that I walk them again, like it's such a different experience, and I really love it. And I will just
You're
be
still
like,
getting the
coffee
health benefits.
Yeah, I'm still walking 13 miles. Like that is not like anything that's like, oh, that's nothing.
No, exactly.
Even if you're walking,
I'm sure it
3
takes a long
miles.
time, but that's still like huge that you do all that.
Well, that's why I need a coffee break in the middle there. I mean, I'll be chatting if I'm by myself and I'm not walking with somebody else. Like I'll be chatting on the phone, be drinking my coffee, and petting all the dogs.
Honestly, they need people like you because you probably help cheer the runners on as they pass.
I mean, no, they're way ahead of me. They're gone. But like, what's fun is like doing like for the pig, like coming back, more so the pig than queen bee. So when the races end and you come up to the finish line, the full and the half merge. So like I'm walking, like I just got done walking the half marathon and people are just completing the full marathon. So like there's a whole like lane of people like still running because they're at the end of running 26 miles where I'm
you're
like
sitting there with your coffee and your bagel.
my coffee and my snacks. Walking. So it is fun to be able to like cross the finish line and watch them because I can't imagine. I mean, that is not a goal for me personally to run 26 miles. I have so much respect for those people. That is so freaking hard. That is not anything I want to do because it's so hard.
It's so much discipline too. Like my poor neighbor, they're all training for the full, like I told you, and she got smacked with COVID like 2 weeks ago, and it totally messed up her training because it was like she was supposed to go run out 16 miles, and obviously COVID being a lung sickness, she was like, I cannot do that. So luckily she has a girlfriend who's qualified for the Boston Marathon multiple times, ran it. It's like helping tweak her like running schedule for training. But I'm like, she did 15 miles like the week before she got sick by herself. I'm like, 15 freaking miles. Like that's insane to me. Like the most I've done so far with the running group is like 2.5. And I'm like, I could not imagine 15 miles. It took her 2 hours, I think, something maybe less than that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've run 13. That's enough for me personally. Like, just, I mean, again, like I love that people do that, but that's not for me. 13 was a pretty big struggle. I mean, I'd say for running for me, the sweet spot is I really did like 10K. I really liked 5Ks a lot too, but 10K was just like, this is good. I feel it wasn't, it's in the training's not as intense as training for a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's a lot. It's definitely a commitment.
Yeah, for real. I mean, you have to be really disciplined, and even like your like food and drinking and stuff, and like because we are flying out to Napa, and I was like, oh my gosh, we can get drunk on the airplane, and she was like, well, you and my husband can. She's like, I am not drinking until after, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You have to run 24 miles or 26 miles in the morning,
right? Yeah, for sure. You don't be hungover for that. Oh, that would suck.
I could not imagine.
My very first half marathon I ran, I had like the worst period of my life. And I woke up at 3 a.m. because my cramps were so bad. And I just like took a fistful of Midol. And because I was in such a slower pace group by the time, because there was like 30,000 people in this race, it was in Nashville. And like by the time like I actually got going and running, like my Midol wore off around mile 6. And so then I had to do half of this thing, like running up and down hills, like with the worst cramps of my life. Oh, it sucks.
I couldn't imagine. People don't understand like the struggles that women go through because that kind of stuff is unpredictable. Like you just don't know when it's going to come.
Yep. And that's like, what am I going to do? Like, and I guess I could have brought more Midol and put it in my little fanny pack and done that. But I thought that was going to be enough and it wasn't. But I mean, I still made it. I survived.
I'm thankful I started my period yesterday, like post L, but my husband and I are going to the Bengals game down in Nashville this weekend. And I'm like, I was going to start like the Diva Cup, but I was like, I cannot do a Diva Cup like in a porta potty. I don't know how they work. I haven't used them yet. And then I'm like, great. Now I have to like bring tampons in a porta potty with like 6 layers of like fleece leggings on. I'm like, this is really nice.
It's awesome being a woman.
It really, truly is. And Ariana, my sister waxes, she gives me Brazilian. So she does the front, she does the back, she does it all. But like, we just walk around naked in front of each other. It's just like what we do. And she was like, oh my gosh, your boobs look so different. What's wrong with your nipples? And I was like, well, there was a baby sucking on them for 4 months. So that's what that was. She's like, do they go back to normal? I was like, I don't know, Ariana. I don't know.
Oh my God. I love that you took this conversation there.
So back to training. We were just talking about women's bodies and what they go through. And they definitely, it's insane how much they change.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had kids, and yes, my body has changed, but I don't really walk around naked in front of anybody to comment on it, I guess.
But see, my sister and I'm 30, she's 28, and we grew up sharing a bedroom. So it was like nothing was off limits. She's my best friend. Obviously, I told you she waxes me, so she's seen it all. And man, the stories that she has just in general from being a wax specialist. You could have her on a podcast just to talk about that. But actually,
I'm not sure if I want to know.
No, we were talking about something else. We had you on our podcast.
Yeah, I forgot what
camel toes.
That is what we talked about. I was like, I don't remember what we talked about. But you're right. We did a whole topic on camel toes.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Good times.
Oh my God. Awesome.
So fun.
Well, on that note, we got plans for the next conversation. But definitely, like, every few weeks, we want to check in and see how your training's going, seeing how your running's going, seeing how your body's changing.
Yeah.
So, if people are interested in kind of following along with you and being your adorable dog, and Elle your baby, and John and your hall pass Zach, is Instagram the best place to follow you?
Yeah, I'm the most active on Instagram at Toria Cannon. Yeah, that's where I literally share probably too much of my life, but it's fun.
Well, thank you for doing this whole thing with me of being on the podcast and running and training.
Thank you for thinking of me and asking me to do it, because you knew I was up for a good challenge.
Yeah, man, I think you're you're already crushing it. So I'm excited to watch you cross the finish line and watch you kick some ass in the gym.
Yeah, I did tell the ladies at the Fleet Feet, I said, I'm going to have to make up my mileage for Saturday because I will be driving to the Bengals game to be drunk.
Yeah, I mean, that's life, man.
I know. I was like, couldn't pass up that opportunity.
I don't think anybody is judging you for that.
No.
And hopefully it's like a yay drunk, not like a, they blew it drunk.
I hope it's a yay drunk. Fingers crossed.
All right, dude. Well, I will see you at the gym next week, and have fun at the Bengals game.
All right. Thanks.
AmandaValentineBites.com